Alrighty, guys, what's going on? Back again for another episode of Front Boards and Four Baggers. We got Eddie here with Cornhole Bag Reviews, and I'm Corbin with Corbin's Cornhole Reviews. Today, we have the Black Sheep Bagger Spotlight. We're going to cover the Black Waters, the Costellos, and some different break-in methods, actually. We're going to go from kind of least aggressive to most aggressive and just kind of explain what we've seen, what we prefer, what we use, etc. So I'm going to jump into the Black Waters, if you don't mind. I do have my custom set here. Beauties. Eddie has his gorgeous purple set there. I had a red set, actually. I just gave them to a buddy.
Well, and they have it ridiculous. I mean, they keep coming out with new designs. They have like the Day of the Dead ones coming out. I think even their generic ones, they went with like a bigger text that's outlined. I kind of like that a little bit more than their original one. I think that's starting to look better. But yeah, definitely kicking up the design notch.
The best one.
Yeah, 100%. Not even close.
It's obviously not even right here. You know, we don't need to get.
We don't need to discuss that. Yeah,
it's fine. But the Black Waters on the website, they claim they are a 4 on the slow and a 7 on the fast. Now we both agree that the slow is more of like a 4 to 5 range, and the fast is definitely an 8.
Yeah,
which is sweet speeds. It's basically their, Surefire mock. Everybody has a Surefire variant essentially. I like it better than a Surefire personally. I think it plays much better and it plays a little differently, but that's just me. It does use this bigger disc fill, same fill that's in the Costello basically. Really, really nice hand purchase. Feels really nice when you pick it up. Everything's soft. Just one of those bags that feels really good. They go for, I believe, $80 plus shipping on the website. Limiteds might be a little bit more.
Up to 100, I think, is like the max.
Okay. Sounds about right. And then, on Facebook, you're going to find them kind of all over the place. It depends, 80 plus, I guess, is kind of what we're seeing on them. So initially, my thoughts on this bag, I didn't love Surefires to begin with. I was more of a pro sniper thrower. And I got this. I was like, well, we'll see. See how it goes. Started throwing it, and I was like, all right, yeah, they're decent. And then I was throwing Costellos. I was like, that's my jam.
Yeah,
like Costellos are
we'll
right where it's at.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
And we will, but it's important in this story. Costellos were just my jam, so I kind of threw these under the bus a little bit. I'd not throw them under the bus, kind of threw them under the rug, didn't really use them much, whatever. And then when we came out with my customs with Black Sheep, I did Costellos and Black Waters, and of course I got Black Waters of my own, and they were a little more full. They felt a little better. I was like, let's try them again. And now I love them.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big note that when we're talking about the speeds and the fill and everything, this is a more full Surefire. So if you're the type of person that is either, I don't know if you've ever tried limited Surefires. I know you reviewed the Midnights, but the reason people really like the Birchberries and the Derek King version ones is because they're a little bit more full. So I would compare those more to this than a normal Surefire, because normal Surefires flop up really quick. These do get floppy to yours is decently broken in, but it doesn't become a Surefire. It gives you that solid
it's not falling apart in your hand. It's not that super loose like a ton of people are used to from Lucky. It doesn't just fall apart after throwing them for 3 days, and I'm not saying seams busting apart, but if you guys have thrown Surefires that are overly floppy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These stayed nice and full in your hand without being overly full. The flop is perfect on them. It's my favorite Surefire variant.
Sure.
I will say, I love Black Sheep as a company in general, but it's just a really, really solid bag, and anyone that's thrown them absolutely loves them. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about them?
Yeah, so I got a set recently from a buddy to try out, because I think I've tried even more Surefire variants than you at this point, because I've been sent a lot. So I mean, I at first I was like, oh, these are all the same, and now I'm actually able to notice the subtle differences between the two in terms of like template size and fill and stuff like that. This one definitely is a slightly smaller template, which lends to that more fullness to it. I think this one has the best hand feel. In my opinion, I am kind of biased because I really like that Black Sheep fill that they use. I know it's fairly similar, but whatever balance or distributor they have, I really like the way that feels. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the best hand feel. I'm getting mine a little bit more broken in yet before I make like my final decision. Obviously, they're not as melty in the hole as some of the variants just because of that little bit bigger feel. You know, if you've thrown a Typhoon that are like full taco, you know, those things melt in. These are a little bit less of that, but I feel I can be a little bit more aggressive, a little more accurate with these because I get the same grip every single time. I was pleasantly surprised with them. Really well put together, really high quality. Same with the Costellos. Like, I would say like for a brand that's kind of like, when I say come out of the woodwork, fairly new in terms of the last year to a couple years.
Oh, they're new.
Yeah. But I would say like we've tried a lot of like smaller company bags, and I would say this seems like immediately like a big company bag. Like, I mean, it's like both these and the Costellos are like, they're not cheap by any means in terms of quality. Really, really nice bags, good materials and whatnot. And I like the designs. I mean, I'm biased to like purple and stuff. When we'll get to the Costellos, I think the Costello design is disgustingly awesome. The default ones, obviously I love your custom ones too, but the default ones I think are the coolest design of any of their bags. But I've been enjoying my time with these. Again, we were talking about that it's in a good speed range. I mean, I think the reason that everyone's not copying, but using these materials is because it's just a really solid speed to be. You know, it goes in the hole well, but it's not crazy fast. You can still lay blocks with it. It's really controllable. I would say a negative of these, which is the negative of every single thing that uses these bags, is this material sticks up in humidity, right? Pretty quickly. So I would say the slightly fuller one, like if I was throwing a normal Surefire or like some of the other ones that I like a little more, but in that thinner range, I can play with it for about a half hour longer than I can play with the Black Waters, only for the fact that because of it being a little bigger, it sticks up just that little bit quicker than the really thin ones. But on like a nice day, I think these play the exact same and have a better hand feel. So.
And you can flop them. Fun fact.
Well, you can flop anything if you throw it right. That's what you told me today. You're like, my buddy can flop all slides.
I really did say that earlier today. All right, we're gonna go there.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all right.
You're just saying you can flop them.
You're just mad because you didn't think I could learn how to flop, and now I got a compilation video in like one day, and you're like, oh, whatever.
now he's better than me at flopping. It's fine, whatever.
I don't have kids. Cool. I got a little more time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But why don't we move on to the Costellos? So the Costellos, I talk about these a ridiculous amount. If you guys follow me or Corbin on anything like YouTube, Facebook, any of our like questions that we answer for people, I recommend Costellos probably more than any other bag, I think. Whenever someone's like, what should I throw in sticky conditions? What do I throw after a Surefire? It's like always I just say Costellos because it's a reasonably priced bag, readily available, and in a great speed range. So if we talk about speeds, they I think the website they call it a 6.8 or 5.8 or somewhere in those ranges. I think we agree it's a 6.8. It's the exact same fast material as the Black Waters Surefire. I mean, it's the same fast side, so it's that same 8. The slow side is the exact same slow as the Pro Sniper slow side. So I know that it's rated as a 4. Pro Sniper calls it a 4. It's a 6. It plays like a 6.
I call it a 5 to 6. It just depends.
It plays quicker than Black Waters, and it doesn't stick up as fast. I would say in terms of the feel of the bag. Oh, we'll get into same fill. Bigger disc, like we were talking about, same price point. So you're looking at $80 plus shipping, and you can find these pretty readily available on Facebook for around that $70 to $90 price point. Design, this is why I said I think it's super cool. Just their default design is super sick.
I love it. Yep.
They also have all the limiteds and stuff and whatnot.
I love the back on that design.
Yeah, I love
it. You got the shadow going on. I love the back on that design.
Yeah, the bags look really cool. My opinion on them though, so compared to the Black Waters, these are thinner. They are less puffy than the Black Waters. Granted, mine are ridiculously broken in. I mean, like mine are like to the point of like this is as far as they're gonna go.
Yeah, that's deep.
But I still love. I mean, I love them. Of course. And this is what I throw personally in my competitive bag after I'm done throwing my Surefire variants or my 4-5 speed bags. I have some bags that I throw when it's a little faster. Game changers. But the these are my like Surefire's too sticky transfer to this bag. It is insanely hole friendly. Like unfairly hole friendly
Absurdly.
I mean it just grabs the hole and falls. And then the fast side, obviously if you're throwing a game changer, throwing a Surefire, the fast side is the fast side. It pushes through, it's really hole friendly. But that slow side, it's just even when it's sticky, like you'll throw it and it'll like stop. It won't slide that far. If it gets near the hole, it still goes in. Even when the boards are sticky, it just melts in the hole. It's just so nice to throw, and it's just a great handhold. I mean, I normally don't like bags this floppy, but with that fill and with the handle, I still love throwing these bags, even when they're this floppy. So if you want to know my opinion on these bags, just look at any comment I make anywhere, because I literally recommend them to everyone. And I only bring 4 bags with me to tournaments, and me and you both own way too many bags, and this is in that 4-bag rotation. So it's really difficult to get in there. So
mine always come with me.
Yeah. I know you love these bags too. So
I do. I absolutely love them. They're the first bag from Black Sheep that I was really like, holy crap. It's just one of those. I was like, this is big. It's pro snipers. The fast side always scared me. There's just something about it.
Sure.
And with this being very similar to a pro sniper with a slower fast side, it just fit right into my game perfectly, because that little bit slower gives me more confidence as I'm throwing. There's still no issue with pushing. There's no issue around the hole, but there's a little more controllability to it. So I really like that. Slow side, you can push with it. I actually really like that.
Yeah, myself. Very much.
It's, you lay a block, you don't have to flip it over to fast side. Just throw a little harder on the slow side. They're both going to go in still.
Or it's a great replace bag too. It pushes and replaces really, really well if you just throw normal. Yeah.
Yep. The handhold is just, it's perfect. I mean, mine aren't nearly as beat as yours, but these get thrown all the time. This is literally the first bag that I pick up as soon as carpet gets unfavorable. Let's put it that way. Because it's not going to be too sticky. If it's humid or whatever, it just starts sliding differently. If I'm putting carpet down, I'm picking these up. I already talked to my partner for my regional Sunday. We're throwing these. So it's just a phenomenal bag. I absolutely love them. There's something about them. And just like you, people are like, oh, who's got pro snipers? Who's got this? Who's got that? I'm like, just throw Costellos.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm like, you'll have them in less than 2 weeks. The break-in takes an hour.
If that. And then you just throw
that. And we'll get into that, of course. But I mean, they're ridiculous. I absolutely love them.
I mean, like, put it this way. My 3 good buddies that I throw with all bought Costellos and only throw Costellos. I have no one around here threw Costellos, and I show up and I just like preach Costellos, and now everyone throws freaking Costellos around here. I mean, they're just a good bag. And
they're that good.
Fun little backstory about this podcast. So I reached out to Corbin when I first started YouTube as like hey, I want to ask you some questions. We ended up talking for like 4 hours about random BS. And then Corbin goes, well, here, I'll send you a set of these to review, help you make a video or something. So he sent me a set of these, and then he ended up letting me keep them out of the goodness of his heart, I guess. And now we're bestest buddies making a podcast.
Now we're just two of the best friends.
So if anyone ever asks me why, because these are an unstamped, old set, broken to hell, I ain't buying new Costellos, okay? They mean too much to me.
All right, I got another set of brand new ones here, just waiting for those to break.
All right. Maybe I'll accidentally drop it on a knife one day.
I mean, that might happen. Sometimes that does happen.
But I mean, and we can go into a little more about Black Sheep. So Black Sheep, I mean, they have apparel. Do they do boards?
They do. They do
apparel, boards,
hoodies, t-shirts, hats. I think they do jerseys because I have one.
Yep.
What else do they do?
And I know the guys that run it, they're really good guys, pretty responsive.
They're all so cool.
Yeah, and
they're all so cool. I have such a good relationship with a lot of them, and it's just, they're kind of my company. You see all of my episodes are sponsored by Black Sheep.
Yep.
They've really stood behind me as I've been doing this, and I appreciate everything they've done. So thank you, Black Sheep, for everything. Of course, I really like them. Great company.
Yeah, and I know they we're not going to highlight them as much today, but they do have a carpet bag, the OGs. From talking to people, my buddy ordered a set. I know they're a ridiculously friendly carpet bag, so one of those really hole friendly. I think it uses the same fill that they use for their other bags, which makes it super hole friendly.
Correct.
So definitely, if you're looking for a good entry level carpet bag as well, I think I've heard from a lot of people it's a really good option
to
get into to really kind of test your grounds with carpet until you get into the really big bouncers.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk a little bit about, and I would say, so break-in method, in terms of questions that I get, it's probably like the number one question I get is, how did you break in this bag? How did you break in this bag? Every time I release a video, they're like, what did you do for break-in? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, whatever worked for me, but we'll go through the different styles that I think and you think we agreed on are like kind of the styles that are the most common, and then like you said, from least risky to most risky in a pretty generalized opinion from what we've talked to people and personally. So I would say there's not too many methods that you can destroy bags, but if you use too much of one method, you definitely can. Like if you do any method tentatively and kind of like work your way through it, if you need a little more, you'll be totally fine. Just don't take something to the extreme. And I would say not every bag is the same. You can't break in every bag the same. And that's very important too. So like, and if you hear a lot of questions or comments, like a lot of people reach out to me and are like, I threw this bag and it's not even close to what you were saying, or this one's definitely faster than this one. I'm like, if that dude washed it with conditioner and didn't wash it out, it's like 2 points faster. Or if this person like did this to it or threw it in the dirt and hasn't cleaned it like it's going to be slower. Like, I mean, it's just, you can't take a one size fits all approach as to what a bag does, because if like, I guarantee me and you were talking once about pro snipers, that someone would throw you a pro sniper and you'd be like, this is trash. Like you ruined it. like
immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
It's break-in method is it's a very important thing. Don't get me wrong, because when you get bags, especially if you guys, I mean, if you only throw Surefires, they break in crazy fast. You throw other bags, they are like bricks for a long period of time. So getting a little bit of something to break it in can be really beneficial. So the most recommended way by every single company, no company will tell you anything except for this probably if you ask, is throw the bags. Don't do anything to them, just throw them, right? And I can agree with that in terms of if you have the time and you just want this one set and these are your sets and you throw them to break them in, you can get them exactly where you want them over a course of time. Obviously, the negative, it takes a really long time depending on the bag.
Forever.
Depending on the bag. I mean, like you could...
True. Depends on bag.
You could throw a moon ball every time and have it smashing on the concrete, and it'll still take you a long time to break in the bag. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. These materials, I mean, we've talked a bit about materials, but these materials are meant for like outdoor furniture that are supposed to last the length of time and like weather and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's not like they're just going to break in without, much effort. So throwing them, safest, best way if you have the time to do so.
Sure.
But it takes a really, 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 really long time.
And I don't like it, actually. I will say that.
I don't do it for any of my bags, to be honest.
I don't either. But a lot of people are like, oh, just throw it. That's what it was meant for. That's whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, in my mind, fabric is meant to be washed. Fabric can be washed. There's no downfall to being washed within reason. We can, we'll get into it, whatever. But like, I've literally felt my Costellos back to back with my buddy's Costellos, and he just threw his to break them in. I hate how his feel. They're
rough.
Yes.
Like
they are.
For the main reason when people ask me, what should I do for this bag? I don't want to ruin it. My comment every time is the next, or like a couple methods down from here, which is hot water soak and tumble. Yeah, just because I'm like, it just loosens it up a little bit, like and softens it just a little bit. Where okay, then throw it after that, you're fine. But I find like right out of the package, it's so stiff, and I mean it's coming off of a manufacturing floor. It's a roll of carpet or a roll of furniture material that they're cutting into a square and printing into a bag. So I mean, they're not meant to be suddenly soft when you get them. I mean, there's a reason why when you buy clothes from a store, you wash it before you wear it, because it's stiff and starchy and all that kind of stuff. It's the same exact thing with bags, in my opinion. But the second method, obviously, is just a lot of people say just tumble it with no heat, which is basically, in my opinion, the exact same thing as throwing it. It's just you're not throwing it.
You're not throwing it 1,000 times.
Yeah. And that's a caveat to that is when I say no heat. Obviously, if you have a heat on, it does soften or changes it just a tad with the heat on.
Correct.
But if you're just tumbling, no heat, it's basically just throwing for hours. And is very...
And it's more gentle to me just because like, you're not throwing on a board and then sliding off on a concrete or whatever else. You're in a circular dryer, and a lot of people will say throw it into a like a mesh carpet, or not a mesh carpet bag, a mesh laundry bag.
I've heard pillowcases too.
Or a pillowcase, whichever, because sometimes the lint trap can have sharper edges, or it has like there's some metal in there, and people are complaining about getting like runs in their bag by throwing it in the dryer. So, if you guys want to be safe, I typically recommend like 2 towels with my bags. That's just how I prefer to do it. And we'll get into that with further methods. But, throw them in a pillowcase, throw them in.
Yeah, if you're worried about it.
Throw them into something and just, it keeps them together and kind of keeps them safer.
I would say I've tumbled 40 sets and I've never gotten a run. But I've heard horror stories. I mean, if you're tumbling cats, I'd probably put it in a pillowcase because it's for $350 bags.
I didn't.
But yeah, I probably wouldn't, but I'm recommending it to people so they don't come back to us and be like, I got a run in my bag. And you said you never got a run. It's like, and I would recommend definitely clean out the lint trap though. Because if you don't, you can get a ton of like crap in the bag that it's like hard to get off. Yes. Like depending on the material, you can really get crap stuck in your bag that you've got to rewash it anyway again.
Yeah.
If you forget to take the lint trap out. So I've made that mistake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
third method we mentioned, but hot water soak and tumble. This is what I do for almost every bag for the first go round. And if I do it and it's not soft or it's not where I want, then I'll do one of the next methods we'll talk about. But this is like for all surefire variants, I start with this and then throw them. And if I'm like, oh, these are still kind of not where I want them to be, then I'll do something else. But it's a really, in my opinion, a safe way to start and a way that slightly loosens, softens the bag without doing anything drastic or changing the feel or speeds of the material in any way.
Yep. And, we say hot water. We're not talking boiling water.
Yes, correct. So that's a different method.
Boiling it's down there.
We'll get there.
But hot water, I'm talking like you can still put your hands in because I typically tell people hot water soak for an hour, massage it every 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
So it helps loosen it, So you want the water to be hot enough that it's going to soften the material and loosen it up a little bit, but not so hot that it's going to burn your hands when you put your hands in the water. Mm-hmm. So that's how I do it. And I just say, literally just grab the bag in the water, do one of these, just kind of move it around, stretch out a little bit, and then resubmerge.
Yeah. So I rinse, or I'm holding it under while it's rinsing, and I'm doing like a long massage session while rinsing. Okay. And then I'll put it in something and soak it.
So same idea.
Yeah. The massaging is definitely focus on the corners and the stitching because that's kind of where the densest parts of the bag will be. Because if you've never seen a bag be made, there's some YouTube videos on it. It's literally two pieces of fabric sewn together and then they flip it inside out. But the fabric is always a square. So if you have rounded corners, there's all that extra fabric sitting in those corners that can really make this like dense ball if you don't really work that in. But massaging it's really important. I would say if you're soaking it too, depending on the bowl you're using, make sure you're really squeezing the air out because the bags will just float up to the top and then they won't actually be soaking. You'll get weird spots in your bags that are a little stiffer than the rest. So
I typically say like sink or tub just so you can have the bag spread out.
I use a 5-gallon bucket, but
I'm just ultra terrified about ink transfer because I've had it happen with
I didn't think about
boiling, of course. But, whatever.
I would say in warm water, warm water, I'm like, man, if there's ink transfer in warm water, we got to get a new print machine for these bags.
Yeah, you need to get a different bag. But I just say, something big enough that you have the room to work around and, fill your sink with a little bit of water, fill your bathtub. I've done that, done 2 sets at the same time. So,
and please clean your sink before you do this because
correct. You don't really want spaghetti on your white bags.
Get some nice brown residue on your bags as you wash them. The third method, which I think me and you, you made a video on this. So this was actually the first way that I started breaking bags. I've gotten lazier lately, so I do the wrinkle guard more. But this one is probably the better method in my opinion in terms of it works them in a little more, depending on the bag.
I would flip these two honestly, but that's just me.
You think so? So I think this one works in the corners a little better. The other one makes it softer, I think, but I think this like works in the corner because I'm not really manually doing anything in the washer. This I'm working it a little bit harder. This is what we're talking about is hair conditioner, wash it out, tumble. So the big key to the hair conditioner, don't use ones with silicones and parabens because that can permanently leave residues on the material that even with Dawn, it can be difficult to get out and it can permanently change the speeds of the bag and get in those like different material kind of like crevices and whatnot and plug up that material. But you're putting a dab of conditioner or like a line or something I put and you're rubbing in the conditioner, really working in those corners. You're just softening up the material. I don't know about you, I tend to do the first bag, set it aside, and then do all 4 bags, and then I'll wash all 4 bags. So then they each kind of in that order. So then it sits for a couple minutes. Okay.
Yep.
So it
some people
sits
say
for
they
5-10 minutes.
sit for an hour, they sit for 2 hours. I've heard put it in the freezer for like a day or two after conditioning.
I'm good.
I mean, there's different ways. Conditioning to me, I use it very sparingly now.
Really? Okay.
It used to be one that I used all the time on a ton of different bags. It's just, I decided it's not really for me. I'd like to get a bag, 70, 80% and then break it in the rest of the way throwing.
Sure.
Conditioning can take it too far. And that's why I would put it further down on the list.
Okay.
You can take bags so far with conditioning, and it's just, if you don't wash it all out, well, then
you're changing the speeds,
as it's tumbling or whatever, well, that conditioner is just getting worked in with heat, with whatever. And then your bag's going to feel slippery. It's just, you have to be very, very careful with it. And, you don't condition carpet.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. You don't condition carpet.
But you do condition tangos, don't you?
Shame on me, because I condition tangos.
Okay.
I was getting there.
Okay. All right. I was like,
I appreciate you doing it for me, though.
Yeah. I was like, this isn't the info I was given.
Yeah, no, I 100% condition tangos, and I have my reasons behind that. It's just, but that's the only carpet bag I actually do condition.
Sure.
So, but yeah, conditioner is very good when used sparingly. Don't pour half the bottle on it. And
no,
it
just
all
one little
use
line.
A very small amount, rub it in. And like you said, I do have a video on it. I was breaking in some fire assaults, and the conditioner still hardly touched them. So some bags just really need it. They need that looseness to them. They have a thicker material. They have a stiffer material. They have something that just needs to be, just let loose a little bit, relax. So the conditioner can work very well. It's just do it correctly. And like you said, paraben free. And then I always wash the absolute crap out of it with Dawn afterwards.
So that's the step I was going to get into. The most important step of this whole process is use
100%.
soap, and again, good soap, not with like a bunch of crap in it. And like sud the living crap out of it, like rub the absolute hell out of it in every area, every corner, everything. And then after you think you've washed it, then wash it a little more, and then rinse it out. And then when you're rinsing it out, if you're squeezing the bag and you see any bubbles, rinse longer, because you still got soap in there. Just keep rinsing. Mm-hmm. So it's done. But that's the most important thing when you're conditioning, because the conditioner does its work in that first couple minutes that it's sitting and it's slightly loosening it. You don't need it to sit longer. So you want to get all of that out of there, because it'll permanently change the bag. I threw with some Costellos actually the other day that my buddy used conditioner, didn't wash it all out. And we were in a humid area, and I'm not kidding. The bag felt like I could squeeze conditioner out of it. Like it was like so like kind of like wet almost. Where I was just, in mine, obviously these have just been thrown. I don't know what you did to them, but they've just been thrown by me. And mine almost still feel not rough, but they still feel like normal materials. His were like glossy, and permanently different. Like granted, super hole friendly, but way different speeds, like a completely different bag. So
just fast. So
if and again, when people tell me like, oh, this bag's way faster, it's like, there's probably conditioner baked in that they didn't wash out. Cause some people have these, and I think talking to a lot of people that maybe don't try a lot of bags or have their couple bags that they like, they're like, this is the breaking method. It always works. Right. And it's like, but if you haven't tried with other bags, if people are giving that advice, you can permanently affect bags in the wrong direction if you're not doing it educatingly and just following someone's, I boil for 7 hours. It's like, really not that people do that, but I'm like, but you hear that as a newbie, you're like, wow, okay, that makes sense. And then you get we'll get into the ramen video that I saw the other day. The next one, this is actually becoming probably my most common one, and from what you just said, probably your most common one.
Mine as well.
Is wrinkle guard in the washer with your detergent on bags and then tumble drying them. I've been doing this for like all of my synthetic carpet I've been getting to slightly soften up the carpet. And I've kind of been doing it with like all my bags, actually.
I basically do it with everything.
I really like how much it softens the material. It doesn't, granted, when I say soft, it doesn't make it crazy soft. It just makes it like feel like the material kind of like relax a little bit, chill a little bit, like, isn't so dense, isn't so hard in the hand. It makes, especially if you've thrown that Surefire Fast Side, Costello Fast Side, Blackwater like that gritty material, it really makes it less kind of like, sharp's the wrong way to put it, but it's a really gritty material that it kind of softens that a little bit, makes it a little more fun to hold on to, in my opinion. And it's so much less time than conditioning bags.
It's so easy. I mean,
it's so easy.
This is brand new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a brand new bag into this, in like hour and a half.
Without any effort?
It's very minimal.
Yeah.
It's wherever your washing machine is really the hardest part.
Yeah, and I know me and you both have agitators in our washing machine. I know that I just do what you do, just throw a couple towels on the bottom, just if you're worried about it. But I haven't had any issues washing. Nothing's gotten caught or anything.
No, not really.
But basically, I do like a half cap, like if you have the max line and the wrinkle guard, I do halfway of it because I can always do more. You can never do less. And I got some bags and I was like, these are so stiff. I'm just going to loosen them. And then I got them out. I was like, oh, I made a mistake. These are unrecoverable. These are very, very different.
So that's part of the reason I actually, when I'm doing my wrinkle guard wash, I do 2 towels at the bottom because the agitator.
Yep.
And then it's actually rare that I do a single set at once. I usually do 2 sets.
Same. Yeah.
So I do 2 sets of bags. So I have 8 bags in there with 2 towels. And then like you're saying, half, I do a little more than half.
Sure.
But, everyone's a little different. But I do normal detergent. And then I basically tell people, do what you would do for a small load.
Sure.
The wrinkle guard and detergent. Put that in for a small load and then run a quick cycle. And, nothing special about it. But it just... The way I look at it is if I have 2 towels and 8 bags, each bag isn't getting as much.
Sure.
It's much more mild. It's just like you're saying, you can always go more. You can never take it back.
See, dude, I did 1 set with a full cap. These things are nutty, man. But make sure also the same thing we were saying with the conditioner, you got to put detergent in with the load too, because that's your soap to wash it out, because you can permanently change the speeds of these as well if you don't have soap in there. I mean,
do a warm rinse. Don't do hot. And I don't like doing cold either. Some people like cold stuff. I don't think cold really does much for you. So I would just do a warm rinse and then, throw them in the dryer. I do it on low. Everyone's a little different, but
the dryer?
Yeah,
I dry on low as well. I think
some
I like slight
dry. I do too, because it's like you got water in there, man. Like you got to get the water out.
And I don't know, when I take it out, maybe because it's a little warm too, but I'm like, I feel like it just feels softer. I'm like, this feels great. I'm like, I just want to hug this bag. It's so soft. I would say with wrinkle guard, we talk about wrinkle guard all the time. I know in your experience and mine as well, it's just really gentle. It just does not, I haven't had any issues. It does have a slight smell to it. It goes away when you throw it for a little while and stuff, but it will smell a little bit granted, it smells good, so it's not.
It's a good thing.
Bad thing.
And but it's not overpowering. Because I've bought bags from people before that they're like, yeah, they're used. I wash them with softener. I'm like, yeah, cool, no problem, whatever. And I take them out of the bag. I'm like, oh,
a lot of softener.
Dude, holy crap. And then you throw them a little bit and you can actually feel it on your fingers, and that's wrinkle guard doesn't do that. It doesn't leave that residue. It doesn't leave an overpowering smell. I mean, if you stick your bag up to your nose, you'll smell it. But these, I can't smell it anymore on them. My Black Waters, I don't smell it. My Tangos, nothing.
Yeah, and when I say you could smell it, I'm like that.
Yeah, you got the bag in your face.
Oh, this smelled terrible. That was an awful choice.
You can hold it right here and you'd never know.
No,
some bags I could hold it, way out here and I could still smell the bag if I got it. Yeah, it's mild. Just use it in moderation. Like we're saying, it's really easy to go too far. So
yeah, but I would say, since I've been starting doing it, I'm just like, this is so much, it saves me so much time. Cause I would say even when I had the conditioner method down, full 4 bags is like a half hour to 40 minutes. Like when I was doing it quick.
Well, that one day I texted you and I was like 22 minutes.
Yeah. You're like, I got an assembly line done over here.
I got 4 bags done and it still took 22 minutes.
Yeah. And wrinkle guard's like 3 seconds. It's like done. But we do people ask me all the time, like, do you throw the stuff on top of the bags? I put it where you're supposed to put the softener. I put it in the softener tray. Too. Just because I think the softener tray like puts it out sporadically. It doesn't just dump it. So, but yeah, so some people ask me that, so I figured I'd say that. But the last method, which I think is by far the most risky, and I don't know if you guys follow on the Facebook pages, there's a video circulating around about a guy who boiled some typhoons recently, and he ended up with uncooked packets of ramen. And if you don't know what I mean, he got a bag with a brick full of beads that were all now 1 bead together. So there's a lot of people that live and die by the boil. I mean, a lot of pro players I know really like to boil their bags and live by it. There's a lot of people that are like, I boil for this long and I've never had an issue. Yep. It just scares me because it's the only method where I'm like, you could actually just melt your bags if you do it wrong.
You could. I've boiled probably less than 10 sets.
I've done like 3 or 4, but yeah.
I used to boil when I was still throwing pro snipers. I'd boil pro snipers because to me it felt like they maintained fullness a little bit better.
That's what I was gonna say in a sec. Yeah,
it's I boil them, they maintain the fullness, but it still doesn't get them like super soft. The slow side would break down, but the fast side would still be kind of waxy and kind of still needs thrown. So then I would tumble them for like 2 or 3 hours, and then they'd feel better. I did it with Vipers and Widows as well, but that's because those materials are thicker.
And they also Ultra. I think that they recommend. They're like the only company that's their break-in method recommended. Is boiling.
Yeah, and they say 1.5 minutes per bag.
Yep.
When people ask me, I always say 2 minutes per bag, tops. Flip it over after a minute. Use silicone coated tongs or plastic tongs or something. Don't use just metal tongs because you can leave indents in the fabric actually, and they won't go away sometimes. Don't stack all 4 bags on top of each other, like I may have done once, and ink transfer all over all of them. Which
that's your pro snipers.
Correct. That was like one of my first sets of actual like regulation awesome bags.
Sure.
So I gave it a shot, and it went well. I still have them. They're actually really good bags, but it's boiling. It's just, I don't think it's for everyone, and I don't think it's for every bag. You can't boil carpet. It permanently speeds it up.
Yep. And I would say I think that the reason people say they boil is because kind of the point you said is that if bags tend to get super floppy or they're floppy out of the package, and they just want to work in the material a little bit without making it floppier, apparently boiling just kind of softens it without relaxing it per se. I actually boiled a couple sets and I felt like it didn't do anything personally. I got it out and
honestly,
I was like, I feel like
it's
the same bag as when before it's just wet and I dried it. I'm like, I just did a hotter water soak and tumble. But it's the same thing. But
hotter.
Yeah. Hottest water soak.
Water soak, yeah.
But some people like it, so we figured we'd bring it up. I personally don't think it's necessary for any bag. I even found a bag that I couldn't break in with the first 5 methods that I was like, I guess I'm going to boil it.
Yeah, it depends how quickly you wanted to do it. I recommended it on Vipers and Widows, but I need to put this out there, not the 21-22s.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I have to put that out there because people
materials are very different than in the past.
Don't touch them.
Yeah, materials are very different than the past. I actually threw some
like first stamped.
I actually threw some series Vipers last night, and I'm like, I understand why they're so expensive. These things are actually really nice.
They're pretty nice.
But yeah, so definitely tread with caution for all of these methods. Granted, anything that you're using a product on, any method past water, you have your risks. So just know that if you use too much, you could permanently alter the bag. If you don't wash it out correctly, you could permanently alter the bag. But in my opinion, if you do it safely, you can get bags in a good position pretty quick, and then throw it the rest of the way. I do what you do as well. I like getting it like 80 to 90% of the way there and then throwing it for a couple hours.
And just throw. And I mean, if you're asking us a specific way to break in bags, if we tell you a specific way, that means we've done it.
Correct. Yeah.
So, if someone asks me, hey, how do I break in this bag? I will literally tell them, I've never thrown that bag, actually.
Yeah.
I haven't broken that one in. I can't give you a method, but if it's a carpet-based bag or something, I might say, throw them in the wash with Wrinkle guard, tumble them for an hour or two and see how they feel.
Yep.
Because I know it's a pretty safe method, pretty mild, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I've never thrown that bag. You should boil it.
I would say the only time that I think I've given out advice that of a bag I didn't throw is if it's a bag you've thrown and we've talked about it. I'm like, this is what Corbin did, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, I actually
just send people your way now.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing, guys, too. Like with us talking about break-in, you have to realize the amount of bags that we get to, I can't throw to break in all my bags. I just I don't have enough hours in the day to throw 30 sets for 10 hours each to get them to the point that I enjoy throwing them.
I'd be on my 4th video.
yeah. And not of the day,
No, I'd be on my 4th video. Totally.
Period. Yeah, exactly. I know you said, I know you saw him post his custom tangles that he got, and he's like, I've been throwing them for about 10 plus hours after 10 hours of tumbling. They're almost playable.
They're getting there.
So just know, guys, it's not a one size fit all. And no, I've said this in a lot of my reviews too. There's some really good bags that when you get them feel awful. So like you take them out of the package and you're like, why do people like these so much? And then you get them to find, like, my Costello is getting to this point. Like, I have people throw these and they're like, can I buy those? I was like, nah, dude, this is a lot of hours, these things, man.
I hate how they feel out of the package.
Yeah.
Straight up. That backside.
Well, it's waxy.
It's so waxy.
It's so waxy.
Stiff, and it's like, that's gross. And then
you could set that on the hole and it doesn't fall in. If I told you a Costello was hole friendly and you bought that and just threw it out of the package, you'd be like, what are you talking about? These are terrible.
But if you throw them for a half hour, they are gonna fall.
Correct. So, but I guess to tone back to the beginning. So Black Sheep, awesome bags. They're not a new company by quality in any means. I have real designs. Corbin decided to go custom.
Yeah, boy.
But they're not a new company by quality in any means. All their bags, insanely high quality. They're doing a lot in the community and really trying to put out a lot of products. They're doing a lot with like new designs all the time and releasing stuff. And I think they just make a really, really sweet bag. And again, for how many bags me and Corbin try, and people ask me, like, what does Corbin throw? What do you throw? For us to have the same bag in our arsenal, it has to be really good because we're both different play style throwers in some capacities. And for us to throw the exact same bag just because we know it's just that good, it means something. It's a good bag. Yeah, it's a good bag. So definitely give them a check out. Not a crazy price point, very reasonable at that $80. They're a little bit longer to ship from them. I think it's like a 2-week turnaround from them, sometimes quicker.
Yeah, I've never had a package from them take more than 2 weeks from order date to get to my door.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of reps now on Facebook that have some ready to go if you're like impatient, or there's even people trying to sell them here and there, but not a long turnaround time. You're not talking 4 to 6 to 9 months like we've learned from other companies, but yeah, that and just be sparing about your break-in methods. I think they're awesome, and I think it's really necessary, but just be careful and tread lightly. And again, you can do a little, and if you don't like it, you can do more, but you can't go backwards. So, but appreciate you guys stopping by for another episode, and we hope to see you guys in the next one. So, thanks, guys.
Thanks.